Are you ready to unleash your full potential and become unstoppable in your success and leadership?
Welcome to the Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast, where we provide powerful insights and strategies for coaches, corporate leaders, and entrepreneurs. I'm Alexanne Carter.
And I'm Carol Register, and we're certified master neurocoaches who are passionate about helping you overcome your limiting beliefs and optimize your performance.
Each week, we'll be sharing actionable tips and strategies using neuroscience, from interviews with industry experts to solo episodes to help you lead a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms.
Join our community of like-minded individuals. Hit subscribe now, and let's be unleashed and unstoppable together.
Hey, leaders. Welcome back to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast. Carol and I are so excited to be joined today by a great friend of ours, Jill Schultz. Jill and I met several months ago. Well, actually, it wasn't even several months ago. I mean, we were like in the leadership container together for over a year.
Yeah.
And on this journey, I got to see this woman become unleashed with her journey, with her experience and her leadership. And so I know that Carol and I are so honored to have you here today, especially to highlight and signify that it is National Child Abuse and Sexual Assault Awareness Month, to have you share a bit of your journey, a bit of your story, and to really take a stand for the listeners out there who feel that they've got something that's holding them back and that they're ready to really just let the cobwebs, let the cobwebs be released from their closet, right?
Cleared away.
Right? And so that they can experience this transformation that you have experienced with these last couple of months. So Jill, welcome. And let's dive in and share us a bit about.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to be here. And it's just been so great getting to know both of you ladies. Being in leadership is so important. And for those of you who are part of Unleashed and Unstoppable, their community, I honor you, because that's really where it all stems from, is leadership and honestly looking at the hard things in your life and taking them on. And, we all have secrets. If you think you don't have a secret, you're not looking deep enough, because if things are stopping you in your life, if things are stopping you in relationships, or if they're stopping you in business with financial success, it all stems from being ashamed of something. And I lived under a dark cloud of shame for 41 years. And so my journey and purpose in my life is just to help you know that if you have a story like mine, you're not alone, and share your secrets, get them out of you, because then you can start, really stepping into who you're supposed to be. So I'm just going to share a little bit about my story.
Yeah. But I want to ask you really quick, like when you're sharing about your story, what is it that, I'm sure this is going to be a part of your story. What is it that sparked you to become unleashed and to start to see the shame and then remove the shame? So I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, no, thank you. And honestly, whether or not you believe in God doesn't matter to me. I do. I'm a Christian, and God has been pushing me in this direction for a very long time. I had a big dark secret, and just him really moving me to get it out so that I could help people know that they're not alone. And so it has been a 41-year journey to get me to finally step into saying it out loud and owning it, and knowing that I get to take responsibility. I don't take responsibility for what happened to me, but I take responsibility for right now and how I get to move my life forward. So does that answer your question, Carol?
Yeah.
Awesome. So my secret was I was molested when I was 3 or 4 years old. Wow. I don't remember. Yeah. And I love that so many people have a voice around their story when it comes to sexual assault. It's awful that it's happening. And I'm so grateful that we're doing this podcast during National Child Abuse and Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Yeah.
But how my story to me was different than what people are talking about right now was that I was the little girl who experimented out of curiosity with other children because of what somebody taught me to do. Mm-hmm. And I thought I was the only person that ever did that. I thought at, 12 years old, I thought I was a monster. I thought I was a sexual predator until one day my therapist said to me, who do you know that is 12 years old? And I thought of my niece. And he said, do you think your niece thinks like an adult? Do you think she acts like an adult? And it finally landed for me. Oh my God, I was a little girl. And I finally got to start relieving some of that shame around knowing that, oh my God, I was just a kid when this happened. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
really,
huge.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I experienced something. I was also molested and I experienced something similar. I always blamed myself. I thought I was the one who had done something wrong. And it wasn't until my children were my age and I was seeing everything through their eyes that it hit me, just almost very
Mm,
similar to you, that I was like, I was just a kid. I totally didn't get it. I didn't
yeah.
get, and so that's huge. I can just really lean into that and say, if you're out there and you've got something that's weighing on you like this, Jill, I can't wait to hear more about how this releases the shame.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when I finally, God is like, okay, you get to share your story. And I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm not. Are you kidding me? You want me to say this out loud?
Yeah.
And so I reached out to a couple of people because that's what you need to do. You need to start telling people, because the more that you say it out loud, the less power it has over you. So you need to be finding somebody to talk to. So I reached out to a couple of people and they're like, you got to write a book. And I'm like, oh, hell no. There's no way I am writing a book. But, you know, it's been such a miracle in the way that all the things have come together through the book. And once I started sharing the story, more and more people said, that's me. And so I have written a book, um, and it's called Unshamed. And
Very
in
cool.
that book, there's so many different people that have shared stories of, that's me. I was the little kid who did that. Stories of healing. So if I needed to forgive myself
Mm.
for what happened, because I blamed myself and I didn't
Yeah.
love myself. I didn't love myself till I was 51 years old doing this work in leadership.
Wow.
So there are stories of healing. There is actually a story of my therapist who has done an entire chapter on, if you have children, how to talk to them, what to
That is
say to them.
amazing.
Yeah, what to say to them preventatively so that they're not targets, because what predators will do is they'll groom children. So
Yeah.
you tell them exactly what to say and what not to do, and nobody touches your
Yeah.
private parts. And then if you do have a child that has been molested, what steps to take and how to react and all those things.
Yeah.
And then the last part of the book is just really, stepping into your leadership and knowing that you get to live a beautiful life. And I will tell you, the hard things, like, life happens outside your comfort zone, right?
Mhm.
And look at the hard things in your life and face them head on,
Mm,
because right now, like, I have this beautiful blank slate of my life that I get to
yeah.
create. I look for that dark cloud and I'm
Yeah.
like, it's gone. I don't have that
Wow.
ugly shame, bearing down on me anymore. So
That's so incredible. And one of the things that's interesting from a neuroscience point of view is you mentioned speaking it out loud, releasing the shame. And our speech centers are a dominant control center part of our brain. And so when we speak, our words literally carry energy and power. Everything is energy, right? And looking through the eyes of quantum physics now and spirit. And, when you think about being able to release something like the shame, get it out in the open, shine the light on it. And that's where it really unravels and dissipates. And so I love that.
thank
And
you. Yeah.
did you cover any of that in your book, or did you come at that from another angle, just from the work that you did of being willing to take the courageous step to get it out there?
it covers all of that. I share a little story that when I was working with my ghostwriter, it got to the point where I was like, this doesn't even feel important anymore. I'm like, are you sure that I really need to do this? She's like, oh yeah, you need to do this. So like you said, the more that you say it out loud, it just changes everything. It loses complete power over you. So it's such a blessing. And if people could just take that first step. In fact, write it down. Write down whatever your secret is and write it in as much detail that you are terrified for somebody to see it. Tell it all in a journal, burn it, throw it away, do whatever you want with it. But at least you're getting it out of your body. And then the next step is finding somebody that you can talk to about it. Because one of the things that I found was so surprising to me was when I did start sharing, like, I remember I would go see my therapist and my stomach would just be in knots. I would just be terrified thinking, oh my God, if I tell this person that I was acting out with other kids, how are they going to look at me? How are they going to, like, they're going to think I'm the worst person. Am I going to go to jail? Like, am I going to be a sex offender, And the level of compassion and kindness and love that was on the other side of that, still to this day, it blows me away. It blows me away.
Oh, that's so powerful. And Alex, Leanne, I don't know if you have any comments here, but one of the things you and I talk about a lot is the writing process.
Yeah. Well,
because go ahead. Yeah.
As Jill was talking about like sharing it out loud, I sort of went to, maybe for those that aren't ready, right? Like, cause my experience of, I got to go to Jill offered I want to say a fantabulous workshop a couple weeks ago, a 2.5-hour workshop. And it was just seeing the different levels of comfortability of everybody in terms of their sharing and what unraveled for them. And so I did come to the idea of thinking of journaling it, right? Like just starting there. But when sort of whether there's a question or something that I observed, Jill, during your workshop, is that this can look different. Like there's not necessarily, like, I think that there's maybe a misconception or understanding of like what, what child abuse and sexual assault actually looks like. And something that I know that I walked away after the workshop was understanding, and it was just hearing different stories that it can appear in different ways. And again, well, not that it's okay, but that that
it's okay.
Ways. Yeah. That it can show up in different ways. And that was my big aha moment. I feel that sometimes there's kind of this stigma of what it looks like. And then as just sharing, Jill, and just the workshop and even just some of what you've spoken into, it was, if you've experienced anything, that you get to release anything that you might feel like, any guilt, any shame. And I think that was what was really impactful in that workshop, is like, is you created a space that allowed everyone who attended there to release from that. And I know that that's right. That leads into your book, and that leads into what you stand for. So I don't know if there's anything you want to, like, an angle to speak into that, or to lean into that a little bit more for the listener, if that maybe they're wondering or questioning, like, did this happen to me? Or how do I process these emotions?
There's so much to unpack there. So, well, first of all, I want to touch on one thing. Shame doesn't have to be around sexual trauma. Like, you can have shame for so many different reasons. So your story doesn't have to be like mine, but if there's something holding you back in your life, I said secrets at the beginning, like you get to look at that and you get to clean it up and you get to release it. Right. So it could be that you had an affair. It could be that you kicked a friend when you were little. Like, I don't know, anything. Like, shame is a tricky thing. And so it doesn't matter if it's something that, I'm telling this big story about acting out sexually, but it can hold the same weight no matter what it is. So get it out. My second thing that I wanted to talk to is, if you can share in groups, like, find a group that you can talk to, because I find that my most healing times have and when I've been able to share it in a platform with more than one person. And not only do you get to open up an opportunity for somebody else to have a space of healing, it may be that somebody opens up that space for you. And we didn't talk about this, girls, but I do have a Facebook group that people can go to. And this would be a really great community for you to step into so that you can find a space where you can just say it out loud, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
That's awesome.
not unashamed. We're creating a new word here. It's unshamed. It's a Facebook group. So we'd love to have you show up there and find a community where you can talk about it. And if you don't want to join my Facebook group, there are organizations like RAIN or Incest Survivors Anonymous. You know, find somewhere that you can go and
Mm.
talk to somebody so that you can get released from it.
Yeah. That's so powerful. I love that you lean into these things in such an open way and provide that safe space for people to come in, and bringing up even the point of secrets, you
Mhm.
know, because we tend to walk around with this baggage, and it's a lot of what we absorbed even before the age of 7, they're saying now. And the fact that we no longer have to walk in that past reality, that we can walk in the present and in a beautiful future. I would love for you to speak into that. Like, you took small steps, and that's so very important. Just taking that first simple step, even if you can't put the pen to paper and write it down, just simply acknowledging to yourself and not stuffing it down and letting it rule your life without your awareness of it. Taking that simple step is so powerful. And then the step of writing it down before you are able to get to the step of speaking it. Maybe you can even speak it out loud to yourself in a mirror before you take that action. I don't know what all you include. You're the expert in this, but I'm just thinking out loud, with you, and the steps to the journey being, how do you advise us to be patient with ourselves in these journeys?
Yeah. Grace is a huge thing, right? Be nice to yourself. That's first of all, like, we are so hard on ourselves. Give yourself some love and compassion. And that's why I wrote this book, because I wanted people to see that there are other people that have gone through the same thing that you've gone through. And so you may think that you're alone, but you're not. There are sadly, this is way more common than you could even imagine. Yeah. And getting the conversation started is the first thing. But I agree with you, like, doing mirror work is really important. And maybe just taking 60 seconds a day and looking at yourself and telling yourself what you love about yourself. Like, I had to do that when like I said, I was 51 years old before I loved myself, and doing some of that mirror work is what really helped to get on the other side of that. I know they say to do it naked. I never did it naked. Okay. But really, the intention is to collapse time. I don't want you to have to take 41 years out of your life to process all of this. And if you can be brave and you can be courageous and you can really, I know it's hard. Like, I've been through this. I know how effing hard it is.
Yeah.
But just take that first step to letting it go is the advice that I would give, and if my book helps you, great. If not, find somewhere else that you can get support around this, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, go ahead, Alex. I was just going to say, it's so powerful having the book, the guidebook, the roadmap, right? That, when you may be feeling all alone out there, you've got this resource available to you. Yeah.
What I was going to say is the leaning into the feeling. So as you said there, Carol, feeling, like, I know we joked a bit today, right before we started recording, Jill, about like the emotions, but that's part of the process and the healing. And we know, with our clients on the neuroscience level, if we just shove it all down and we don't actually get to process it, it can really impact us. And so I think that's when we're looking at the different steps and the process of it, it really is a process, and everyone's going to experience it differently. And I think the stand we're kind of taking today is to let the secrets out of the bag and really allow yourself that grace and that love to process whatever that it looks like for you, and knowing that you've got the community, you've got your book that's coming out, and that you're not alone in this process, and that it is more common. I remember you shared some statistics, and it was really surprising to hear that. And just, it's that collaborative, right? That collective of everyone standing together for each other's greatness to help become unleashed and experience now what you get to experience, which is a life more of this freedom and not having that black cloud follow you around, right?
Yeah. I laugh because Alex knows letting the emotions out. Like, this is probably one of the 2 or 3 times that I haven't told my story that I haven't cried. Like, my emotions have been all over the map, and like sobbing on Zooms, and, you know, just being completely vulnerable and letting it out. So please, I love that you brought that up, Alex. And the, you know, now there's this blank slate, like getting through looking at it and processing it and talking about it. Like, what I get to create now, I have this whole blank canvas that is just, holy shit. Like, what I'm so excited. Like, I get to tell my story, and I get to help other people break free, you know? So the book is pre-sale right now. So if you want to get your copy, we're going to do, it's unshamed.live. And I'm going to actually, for the people who buy the book pre-sale, I'm going to do a 6-week book club. We're going to go through the book together and process it together. So that'll be awesome. You'll be getting an email if you do the pre-purchase on the book. So yeah. Thank you, girls, so much for having me. This was really special.
Yeah, we're happy to have you today. And this is such an important month with the, you know, drawing out the abuse that happens around children, and you experience that, and, you know, and then it carried forward in your life in ways that were so extremely painful and difficult. And I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. And I just want to hold you high and acknowledge you for your bravery. We all get to do this. We talk a lot about getting out of our comfort zones and being in the discomfort of release, of breakthrough, of growth, and facing the pain, having an awareness is so powerful. I describe it like a monster that when I was grieving, that's what it felt like. Like, if you think of the Disney movie Monsters, I would see it as this big monster, the pain, like I literally couldn't breathe. It would choke me and I would suffocate. And somebody said, "Oh, that's because you're grieving." And that, like, I was able to kind of relax into it. And I began to learn to give myself permission to feel the pain, and the monster would dissolve. It couldn't swallow me whole. It was like making me think that, but it was an illusion. So the work that you're doing is extremely powerful in helping people, you know, helping all of us to get the secrets out, to speak about things that can cause us guilt and shame. And I've heard that shame is really about who you are as a person on a deep level. So I'm so thankful you were here.
So I just want to, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to say, you know, this platform is about leaders and leadership. And you are here because you want to be unleashed and unstoppable. And so as powerful leaders, in order to take that next step, you need to let go of whatever that secret is. So I just really encourage you to do that, because everybody here is here for a reason, because you want to go to the next level, because you're powerful, because you're unleashed and unstoppable. So I honor you for being here.
That's right.
If that is truly something that's holding you back, right? It is the time to be able to, you know, I'll have to say, like, just like bless and release it, right? And really lean into that. And, you know, something that even Carol, you shared, and Jill, like it's uncomfortable, right? We're not saying here that it's, you know, sunshine and roses, right? And there's something great that's waiting for you on the other side of that. And the discomfort and the fear, it lasts only seconds. And so to be able to really, truly let go of that and be able to step into it. And I've had an opportunity to read little parts of Jill's book, and it's amazing. And so I definitely want to encourage our listeners to go to unshamed.live to be able to pre-order this book, whether or not this is something you experience or as a parent, because I know that was something that I reached out to Jill after her workshop as a parent, with, two young, well, I will almost have two young daughters, but I have my toddler at the moment, right? Just as a parent to understand how to be able to help my daughters as they navigate their childhood and things like that, like how to set them up for success. So whether or not you're a parent, whether or not this is something that you've experienced, we want to invite you to go to unshamed.live to get Jill's book.
And do it with your community too. Like if you when you want everybody rising up, right? So you get to do this with other people, because like I said, this is way more common than you can even imagine. I promise you get this book for your friends, you're all going to be experienced up leveling at the same time. So
That's amazing. That's such a powerful point. And I just want to tell you that it's really important. The pre-sales for authors are a big, big deal. They help the visibility of the book and the places that it is available for people, just like subscribing to a podcast and reviewing for us does. It gets it out there for more people. And right now, with it being National Child Abuse and Sexual Assault Awareness Month, it's a long title. You were right, Jill. It's more important than ever that, as leaders who want to be unleashed and unstoppable in this world, shutting the doors on those activities and helping anybody caught in those cycles to be able to step out of them. Right. So
I just thought of an idea. So anybody who buys the book, the pre-sale, I'm going to donate 10% of the proceeds to Underground Railroad.
Yes.
So you get to contribute. By purchasing the book, you get to contribute to Underground Railroad.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Jill. Thank you.
This was amazing.
Yeah. We're super glad to have you.
Thank you.
So all the links to be able to purchase the pre-sale and join Jill's community and connect with her on socials will be in the show notes. And we want to invite you, share this podcast episode with your community and your friends and your family. And let's be able to, let's take a stand together and spread the message further and wider, and be able to take a stand and end this cycle.
In this cycle. That's right. We can stand for transformation in ourselves, and the magic happens when we transform. Those around us begin to shift. Our neighborhoods, our communities begin to shift as we stand in our leadership. And we literally are bringing about taking those small steps that become exponential, a transformed world. So,
well, thank you so much for being here with us, Jill. And we will see our podcast listeners on our next episode next week.
See you next week. Ciao for now.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexandra Carter and Carol Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media or leave a rating and review, and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.